Hey, welcome. So this is a tutorial for a provisional cast on. Basically, a provisional cast on lets you cast on some number of stitches that you want with a waste yarn. Then you can work off of those stitches, and later on you just tear out the cast on edge, and then you have live stitches on both ends of your work. And that's really great if you want to do something like a folded hem where you want to have live stitches on both ends of your work so that you can fold it and then stitch them together. And I use that technique here in my summertime tote bag pattern. This kind of nice finished edge here is a folded hem that uses a provisional cast on. So what you need is your needles that you want to work with, your crochet hook, and then some scrap yarn or waste yarn that's in a contrasting color, not the color that you actually want your work to be in. And that's just because if it's contrasting, it's easier to see which are the live stitches and which are the provisional cast on stitches later when you go to tear them out. So what you'll do is you'll take your waste yarn and just make a simple slip knot. You want to leave a tail to weave in. This one's probably longer than it has to be, but whatever. Slip your crochet hook through that slip knot and tighten it a little bit. And then you'll take your needles and with the yarn kind of behind, you'll make an X over your crochet hook over your knitting needle. So you have an X here and the yarn is behind. And then you'll take the yarn. I always find the first one to be a little bit fiddly. You take the yarn and you pull it over the crochet hook. So the yarn is attached to the crochet hook goes on top of the needle, and you pull the yarn over the crochet hook. And now you will pull that loop through the stitch that was on the crochet hook. And so now you're left with this. Let's bring the yarn back behind in between these needles. So now it's behind again, we're back in the starting position, and you now have one stitch cast on for your working needles. So we'll always consider this stitch on the crochet hook to be kind of like an extra working stitch. We won't include that in our count. So we've casted on one stitch so far. We'll do the same motion. Now we have two, and you always just kind of bring it back behind afterwards. Again, 3, back behind, 4, back behind, 5, 6, 7, and so on. So I'm going to finish casting on 108 stitches, and then I'll join you again in a sec. Okay, so I just finished casting on all of my stitches. I have 25, 50, 75, 100, and 8. Okay, so now I have 108 here, which is what I need to cast on, and then I have one working stitch that's on my crochet hook. So what I'll do now, I want to secure this last stitch and make sure that while I'm working from here that I don't have it come undone. So basically I will just, without the knitting needle involved, I will just create a simple crochet chain through that stitch, and this will just secure it and kind of give like a buffer so that it won't come undone. Okay, cool. And then I can just cut the yarn, and now I just have this little dangly bit that will just kind of chill and hang out until I am ready to undo this provisional cast on. So I have now casted on all of those stitches, and now I will begin with, oh shoot, this is coming untwisted. Okay. So now I have this little dangly bit. This will just kind of hang out here. So I have all of my stitches cast on with my provisional cast on. Now I will start using my actual colored yarn that I want to use for my project, which is this cream colored yarn. So with a provisional cast on, you actually don't join in the round with the provisional cast on. You just do that when you start actually working with the yarn that you're going to use. So you take your kind of main colored yarn that you want to knit the body with, and just join it, have enough of a tail to weave in later, and just start knitting on the left needle as usual from these stitches that you create with a provisional cast on. So just knit them like they're normal stitches, which they are. And you just go across this whole row. So you can see here, I have provisional cast on, my actual stitches that I want to use. And I will join you again when I've gone through this whole loop and I'm getting to the very end of this side. Okay, so I just knitted all the way across from my provisional cast on with my actual color yarn that I want to use. So now we're going to join in the round. So you do that after you knit this first row of the color that you want to actually use. So to join in the round, we just need to make sure that the stitches aren't twisted. So I like to line up the cast on edge on the inside of my circular needles. And so I just kind of go all the way around, smooth that out. Sometimes it can get really twisted along the way. So basically if you don't make sure, like if you end up joining them while they are twisted, you get like an infinitely twisted, like no matter how much you knit, it will always have a twist in it, like a Mobius strip, I think is what it's called. So anyway, don't do that. I've done that before and you feel really stupid when you figure it out. Okay, so here we have the two ends that we want to join. So I will put a little stitch marker for the beginning of the round, and then I will grab, here's my working yarn, this white one. I like to hold this other tail in my other hand just to kind of keep it, like give it a little bit more tension and keep it stabilized while I'm working with it. And I will just use my right needle, knit that, pull the other one tight again. And now I have my first stitch on my second row. Then I can keep going. And you will see that now this is joined in the round. So now these stitches are connected. And you can just pull on the tail anytime it gets loosened up. Okay, so there you go. You have now done a provisional cast on and you have joined in the round. And so basically after you're done, like let's say I've knitted this much and I'm ready to do my folded edge and I want these stitches live again, you will just pull out from here and then these stitches will become live. I will probably show you that in another video.